Hello, La Pluma students in grades TK through 2. Welcome to our second art video. If you're in an older grade, the next video is for you. It's a little bit more complex. Today, for you guys, we are going to learn how to draw this desert landscape. And our rule for today is perspective. So perspective is how we view the world. And in art, it means that we draw things that are closer to us, larger, and things that are farther away from us, we draw them smaller. And that is how our eyes perceive the world. So let's get started on our perspective landscape. Okay, so for our perspective landscape, there are 3 new words that I want you to learn. The first one we already talked about a little bit, and that's perspective. It's the illusion of space and depth, moving from 3-dimensional to 2-dimensional. So 3-dimensional would be our world as we see it in real life, and 2-dimensional would be when we're trying to write that down on a piece of paper, like an art project. Here's the rule. Items appear smaller if they are farther away. And there's 2 things we're going to be talking about on this project. The first one is the horizon line. That is where the sky meets the land, or where your eye level is. And the second idea is the vanishing point, or where objects seem to disappear. Like if you're looking out into the distance as far as you can see, that's the vanishing point. I have drawn a soccer ball and a dog and a sun, and I drew them by the size according to how close they are to the viewer. So the soccer ball is probably smaller than the dog, but in this picture I drew it larger because it's closer to the viewer and the dog is farther away. The sun is definitely bigger than the soccer ball and the dog, but it looks smaller in this picture because it is so far away from the viewer. All right, let's get started on our perspective landscape. This is what we're going to be creating. And so you're gonna need a piece of paper and a pencil to start off with. It's definitely gonna work better if you have a pencil because we are going to do some erasing. So a pencil will be a great idea. We're gonna start by drawing our horizon line. The horizon line, like I said, is where the sky meets the land. And just a light line going horizontally across your paper there. And I have my paper set up the tall way or the vertical way. And now we're going to draw our first cactus, and we want this first cactus to be larger than the second cactus because the first cactus is closer to us. So for the first cactus, we're gonna draw a vertical line, and it's gonna be not starting all the way at the top and not all the way to the bottom. Leave a little space up here and a little space down here. And then we're going to do a letter U, but kind of a little bit widened. So the letter U, but with a really long horizontal line. And then I'm going to do half a letter U right here, or maybe like it kind of looks like a backwards J. And then down here at the bottom, I'm going to do one more, that kind of looks like a letter J. So one more curved line. Okay, this is kind of the skeleton of my cactus. And now what I'm gonna do to create a full cactus instead of a stick figure cactus, I'm going to trace around my stick figure in one continuous line. Okay, and that's my cactus. I don't need these center lines anymore. They were just a guide. And I don't want the horizon line there either because my cactus is in front of the horizon line, so it's covering up the horizon there. So I'm going to erase all these guidelines. So it's helpful if you can draw them lightly to begin with so that they're easier to erase. Okay, there's our first cactus. And now we're going to do our second cactus. And we want it to, it's not like a teeny tiny cactus. Actually, it might be the same size as this cactus in real life. But because it's farther away, it's gonna look much, much smaller. So I'm gonna draw another vertical line. This one's much shorter. And then I'm gonna do a curved hook on that side, a backwards J. And then I'm gonna do a curved line over here, kind of like the letter J or half of a U. And I'm gonna do the same thing again. I'm gonna trace around these lines to make my cactus in big bubbly lines. And then I'm gonna erase my stick figure that I drew as a guide. And I can also erase my horizon line that is covered by the smaller cactus. Okay, so there's our two cacti. If you have more than one cactus, you call it cacti, not cactuses. So that's something fun to know. Okay, we are gonna do a big desert sun, and the sun is farther away than the cactus in the front, so we need to make sure that our circle does not cover up the cactus because the cactus covers up part of the sun. So your circle doesn't have to be perfect. I'm sure the sun isn't a perfect circle. Okay, and I didn't draw the parts of the circle where the cactus is. I skipped those parts so that it appears that the cactus is before the sun. All right, that is the gist of the project, and now I'm going to add some color. And with color, we've talked about before layering different colors, and I think that's a really fun way to give objects more interest and more depth. So like for this big cactus, we want to, you know what, I should go back because I was gonna tell you, it's always a good idea when you're coloring to trace the item first. Because we drew it in pencil first, we might want to just cover up that pencil line. Sometimes I don't use a pencil first. I start with the crayon, but with this project, I definitely needed the pencil to help me draw the cactus and erase. So tracing around your cactus will give it that nice border, and then I'm gonna color it, but I'm not gonna worry if I leave some parts a little bit white. See how I left some white splotches in here? So I'm gonna come back with some different colors and fill those in. Okay. If green was in the shadow, it might look like turquoise. Let me see if I can find the turquoise. Those are blue. You could use blue too. Blue would be fine. That's dark blue. Here's a turquoise. So I'm going to use turquoise, or blue would be fine too, to just make part of this cactus look like it has shadow. So I'm gonna kind of focus the shadow on this right side, even though the sun is behind. Probably this whole thing would be in the shadow, but it's not completely set yet, so we're still getting some light from above. And then after I've added some blue or turquoise, I'm gonna go to like a lighter green or a yellow and do some filling in, just coloring right over my other crayon and filling in some of those white spots with the light green. Okay, with my, oops, I didn't really do the shadow on this one, but that's okay. You don't have to do the shadow if you don't want to. Okay, for the sun, I used kind of an orangey red and an orange because I wanted to layer the color. And I colored in kind of a circular pattern because I like to copy the shape that I'm coloring. So if it's like a line, then I color in a line. If it's a circle, then I color in a circle. I just find it easier to kind of copy the shape. You can color it in however makes sense to you. There's no right or wrong with art. It's kind of like, what do you think looks beautiful? What do you think makes the most sense and reflects what you're trying to create the closest? Again, I'm gonna leave some white pieces in here. If you hear something, that's my dog getting up. He's walking away. I think he was hoping that I would be eating some food and it might drop from the table, but no such luck, Alfred. Okay, I like that, and now I'm going to go to just regular orange and kind of fill in some of these white spaces. You can also use red and yellow in your sun if you wanted to make even more shades overlapping. But I think I'm happy with that. I like that. Okay. All right, for the sky and the desert sand, I am going to use my crayon sideways. I really like that this is faster, and I really like the texture that it gives. It just looks, I think it looks more skyish than using the tip of your crayon. It just looks, I don't know, I think it looks better. So I like to use the side for large areas, and especially for the sky. There's my sky. You can go over it with another blue as well if you want to add more depth. Some people like to always use their crayon the same direction, but I don't mind going in different directions. I think that's kind of fun. It can kind of look like clouds or lines in the sky. Okay, for the desert sand, I'm going to use brown. Again, I'm using it on the side. So I'm holding it between my thumb and my two first fingers and just rubbing the edge onto my paper. I'm gonna go around that cactus because I'm gonna come back to it. Again, I like to go in all different directions. I think it's more interesting because in the sand you have all kinds of movement and lines. Might be a little hard to get those tiny areas though, so I might have to break my crayon a little bit more. Get a smaller one. I know it's sad to break crayons, but it's helpful. Okay, so there's our desert sand. I did do some sort of darker places next to the cacti to show shadows. So I'm gonna do that again, just pressing a little bit harder with my crayon, and I'm kind of just doing like the rough shape of a cactus. It does not have to be perfect. Just kind of showing like, because shadows are definitely like not perfect representations of whatever they're casting. So it's okay if it doesn't look exactly perfect. In fact, I actually did a lot more detail here than I did here. So if you just want to do like a darker area, kind of like just a darker spot, that's fine too. All right, and I'm gonna work on my last cactus and then I will be all done. So first I'm gonna trace over, and then I'm gonna color it in but leave some white places. And I'm going to try to find my turquoise. Do some turquoise on the right side of the cactus to show shadow. and some lighter yellow, yellowish green on the left side. Okay, and there is my desert landscape. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I would love it if you could send pictures to your teachers, and maybe like they can forward those along to me, because I would love to see what you come up with. Thank you so much, TK through 2nd grade. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.